In this video, I will demonstrate how to add a quiz and configure its settings. To create a quiz activity, first make sure that editing is turned on, and then add the activity. First area I can configure is the general settings for the quiz. So, determine a quiz name, and then enter an introduction. This is where you want to write clear instructions to your students for how to complete the quiz. You can also choose to display the description on the front page of the course, but I don't recommend this because your home page will become cluttered. With the timing settings, you can set open and close times for your quiz if you wish by enabling this feature with the click of the checkbox. You can also add a time limit, control what happens when a student doesn't finish on time, and add a grace period. The next area to configure is a grade. If you are using categories in your grade book, then select a category here. Make sure that you select the number of attempts that you would like to use and the aggregation method for multiple attempts. Next, you will determine the layout settings for how the quiz questions display for the student. First, choose the question order. If you choose Shuffle Randomly, it will keep students from memorizing responses from multiple attempts. Then you want to select when you want to start a new page. When you add questions for the quiz, page breaks will automatically be inserted according to this setting. Although you can still manually move this on the quiz edit page, I'm going to select 3 so that a new page will automatically be inserted every 3 questions. You can also choose a navigation method. If you choose sequential, students are required to take the quiz in the order that you select. Next, we will configure the question behavior settings. Determine if you want the answers and distractors to shuffle when displayed by selecting yes or no from the Shuffle Within Questions option. Next, select how you want the questions to behave. It is critical that you select the correct option here. The functions of each of these is displayed when you click the Help button. I like using deferred feedback option so that students must answer all questions and submit before receiving feedback. Certainty-based marking, or CBM, is available for both deferred feedback and immediate feedback options. This allows the student to not only answer the question, but indicate how sure they are that they got a question right. The grading is adjusted by the choices of certainty so that students reflect honestly on their own level of knowledge in order to get the best mark. Next, you have the review option settings. This area can seem a little bit overwhelming at first, but it's pretty easy to set up. These options control information users can see when they're reviewing a quiz attempt and looking at quiz reports. Check all the items that you would like to include. The details of these items can be found by clicking the Help button. You can play around with the settings and see which ones you like. If you are using a close date for the quiz, then you don't even need to worry about the settings under after the quiz is closed. The next area to configure are the display settings. If you would like, you can display students' picture by setting the Show Users Picture setting to Yes. You can select the number of decimal places that you'd like to display for the quiz grade. Note, this is only display, so it doesn't actually impact the scores that are stored in the database. I typically leave this set to 2. You can also change the number of decimal places for the question grade, but I leave this to same as for overall grades. Lastly, you can decide if you'd like to display blocks during quiz attempts, but I always leave this set to no. The next area that we will discuss is the extra restrictions on attempts. I never use the settings, but they may apply to your needs, and you can enter a password and require a password field if you'd like students to enter before being able to access the quiz. You may also force delays between the first and second or later attempts by enabling these options. Lastly, you can choose to enable browser security by selecting full screen pop-up with some JavaScript security. This will force the quiz to open in a full screen pop-up window, which will cover all other windows and have no navigational controls. The next area that you can configure is the overall feedback. This area allows you to enter text to display to the student after they finish the quiz attempt. This text can vary depending on the grade that they have earned. If you would like to use this, just fill in the feedback text area with your overall feedback and the grade that corresponds. Like all other activities, you can set the activity completion settings. The last step is to click the Save Display Now button and start adding questions into the quiz. In this video, I showed you how to add a quiz and configure its basic settings. You might want to consider duplicating this activity using the duplicate feature in Moodle before adding questions to it. This will save you time from having to set the settings for each activity in your course.